what a great day it is. Wednesday, November 27th. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, guys. So get ready to overeat and make poor life decisions while watching football. So this is going to be awesome. I can't wait for today's session because we are on number 7 of 8 talking about the anatomy of a transaction. And if you guys haven't been checked in for what we've been up to for the last 7 weeks, go back and watch them in your member portal over at thecommunitycenter.com. Really, really excited for everything that's been coming together. And today is not going to be any different. It's going to keep getting even more and more awesomer. So today we've got Liz Boisvert, 4-time Icon Award winner, with a bunch of guests. I'm going to let her introduce her guests, talking to us about the post-close part of this process and why it's so important and why top producers really focus a lot of their time, energy, and mental focus on this part of their business. Hey, Liz, it's good to see you.
It's always good to see you. And it's always
Woo-hoo.
good to see our community faces. I mean, it's a holiday and you guys still show up. And I think that speaks volumes. So thank you to everyone that's in the room.
Love it. Well, really excited for today and this content. So let's do this. I'm going to get out of the way. Why don't you bring your folks up here so I won't make it a crowd? And I can't wait to hear about this because I know you're also going to cover CRM. And for anybody who knows Liz and her background, she does some pretty high level training on CRM strategy and automation. So I'm excited to hear where this goes today.
Oh, thank you. I like to say that I wouldn't call my kvCORE, which is now Bold Trail training, high level, but I like to really just speak to the masses and make it easy for everyone. So I'd like to introduce Bree Sweet first. I have some amazing powerhouses in the room today. And Bree Sweet is like farm. She lives on a 12-acre farm. She's like farm that meets luxury. And if you don't have the pleasure of knowing Bree yet, like that pretty much, to me, that sums her up. But there's so much more to her. She's with EXP Luxury. She volunteers at 4-H. And while she's doing all of these amazing things and being a parent, she has a very, very successful real estate business. And every single time I'm around her, I learn something.
Aww.
And I like to surround myself with people like that. So I have no doubt that you'll take something from Bree today. But is there anything you'd like to add to that, Bree?
Not really. I think you did a pretty nice job. Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome. Welcome. I'd like to also bring up Dill Ward. So Dill, hi Dill. As you can see, her energy just kind of like
Good morning,
envelops you, even not through Zoom. She is a fellow AAC member. We're both Oregon AAC peeps, and I met Dill because she invited me up to Portland to teach a kvCORE class. And she has got it going on. She has the raddest EXP co-working space that I've yet to see. And she just brings it. Like I made amazing food and she has so much energy. So she lives in Portland. She has the co-working space, but she is also currently remodeling a mid-century home with her family. And she also has aspirations like every day, like maybe I'm just going to buy something new. So you just never quite know what Dill is going to do. She's very uplifting and I'm happy to call her a friend and I'm sure you will too. And then I'd like to bring up Julie Younger. I actually met Julie at that kvCORE class and I had no idea the powerhouse that she was. She's a major attractor and influence to EXP. She has a huge construction background, which I think always goes a long way with real estate. She, learned a lot from her dad, and she actually has her contracting license. And any real estate agent that has their contracting license, I think it just adds another layer of value for clients. So she definitely has a lot to contribute. She's very grounding. She's like this soundboard when you're around her. So it's really, really great to see you, Julie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Wow, that was a nice introduction. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so Jessica Nieto, if I'm pronouncing that properly, if you haven't seen her face yet, then you surely will now that now that you're being introduced to her, because she's a huge influencer at EXP. She's often on stage. She is dual licensed in California and Oregon. And she does a lot of real estate. I don't even know how she manages it. But besides being an EXP influencer, she's a relationship cultivator. And I'm proud to say that she is a co-chair of the EXP Prides Network. So big
Yeah,
heart.
I'm actually thank you. Yeah, I'm actually the co-chair of One EXP currently, but it's an amazing community. Thank you for having me, Liz. I'm super excited to be here with you all.
Well, we're excited to have you. So I kind of want to this should feel like we're a bunch of friends, on Thanksgiving week, and we're sitting around the table and just getting to know each other, but also sharing our secrets and what makes us successful. So I've come up with some questions that I thought would maybe entice us to have some great conversation, but I really, really want to welcome everyone in the room to ask questions and not be afraid to ask those questions, because I think the more questions we have, the more we'll be able to get into the heart of things. And so just at random, I'm going to start with Julie because I know she has to leave early today. And our topic today, I know Jeff has thrown it out there, but it's really like after the sale, right? Because we've gone through this sequence of the real estate transaction. And so we're talking about, okay, the transaction is closed. How do we nurture our clients? How do we stay in touch? Maybe there's something that you do with your CRM. Maybe there's some events that you do. And so we'll start with that. So, Julie, after you close the transaction, what's the first thing you do to stay in touch with your clients?
Well, full disclosure, I'm just going to be totally transparent here.
Please do.
I don't use a CRM. My CRM is paper and pen. Actually, my CRM is behind me. My CRM is sticky notes, and so for me, what I do when after I close a transaction, of course, a little gift. When you hand them the keys, and those gifts, I have a huge craft room up in my bonus room there, and I create a little card and then write something special on it for them. I have these baskets. I mean, Home Goods is my go-to. And I go to Home Goods and I create a little basket of miscellaneous things that I think that they would enjoy. And so when I go there to give them the key, I present the little basket, and then sometimes I might just display it on the counter. So that's the first thing that I do. And then to follow up, my coach once said, because after a while, if you haven't talked to them in a while, and maybe because you've been, really busy, swamped or whatever, you feel almost like, it's going to be awkward when I call or something like that. He reminded me that, you're there to do a job. They hired you to do a job, and you do it well. They don't expect you to be your best friend and call them every couple of days. Actually, they might be annoyed if you do, right? So to follow up, and I do pop-by gifts. I'm a relationship-based agent. And so a lot of my follow-up is it's just like my husband and I were going to show a property in Sandy yesterday, and my client wanted my husband to come because she knew him as well. And my husband goes, "Do you have any pop-by gifts in the back of your car? Should we be dropping some of these off in Sandy from your past sale?" So, I mean, he's also helping me along the way to remember to, do the little things. And then the other thing that I do besides pop-by gifts is this year was my first golf tournament that I put on. And I'm going to tell you, it's because after a while, when you have been doing this for a long time, at least in my mind, I'm like, how can I drop off, 120, whatever, some pop-by gifts? And a lot of times you just kind of go around where your area is, where you live. But then sometimes you are selling, well, I'm actually licensed in 3 states, Oregon, Washington, and Arizona. So it is a little bit harder to go to those outlying areas where you might have, I'm in 8 MLSs, and so I travel.
Wow.
But
Did you say 8 MLSs?
I am, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if the golf tournament thing, what actually happened for me there is because this was my first big event per se, to do. And I picked out 100 clients that I was going to invite, and I picked up the phone and called everyone. And then I followed it up with a text. And let me tell you, there were so many people that just were grateful that I called. I mean, some of them were from 6 years ago that I hadn't, talked to in 5, right? So, and they were just grateful. And, so anyways, I probably went way over. I'm sorry.
No, there's no sorries because I
You're
took a
awesome,
bunch of
Julie.
I took a bunch of nuggets from that. So your golf tournament is for your past clients. And do you invite them or do you charge them to be there? Just like, hey, you can come to the golf event. It's this much. So you
Nope.
sponsored the whole thing.
I sponsored the whole thing. And again, this was my first one. So it was my treat. It was my treat. And I had a little gift bag for them all. I ended up having, how many did I had? So we only did 9 holes at the Charbonneau Golf Club, and for foursomes. So not 36 people came because I had exactly 4. There were, 2
Teams. Yeah.
2 carts on each hole.
Yeah.
So foursome.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I do a tournament too, so I'll have to pick your brain about that. But I just keep looking at the board behind you, and I wish I could like zoom in and see what all the post-it notes. They're obviously all color coded. And, I do want to ask the rest of the group some questions, the same question, but I really want to know, like, that's a picture, like a snapshot of your brain, right? So how do you,
100%.
like, is there a name for that?
Yeah. So, let me see. So this is my production over here for 2024, and it's a baseball diamond. So like I said, I'm a very visual person. So, this is home, obviously first, second, third. And these people over here are on deck. Some of them are listings that I have. Green is Oregon, orange is Washington, and the blue is Arizona. Pink is actually Zillow, because a year ago this November, I had a couple of people on my team that were doing Zillow at a high level. And because I'm a relationship-based agent, I was like, well, that's a transaction. I wonder if I can convert them to a relationship. I want to challenge myself. And I have the secret sauce, so that could be for another call, but I'm getting pretty good at converting these transactions into relationships. Anyways, here is how many it took me to cap. And then over here are my closed sales. And then, so and these people right here are who I'm, talking to on a regular basis, showing properties or helping them get their property ready for sale or whatever. So, but I move them along. So when I get one under contract, they go here, and then we do a home inspection. They go here after the appraisal, and we're ready to close. They go here. So that's kind of how. Anyway.
That's fantastic. So what's the other board behind you?
That is agent attraction.
Okay.
That board over there is attraction. And then I don't know if you can see, but there's also another board on my floor here, because I moved my desk around. But anyways, these yellow ones were so I've been with EXP now 6 years. So, and I've icon 5 of those 6. So those yellow ones up there are closed transactions. And then there's a whole nother board down here.
Get that board up there. Get the board up there, right? That's probably on your small to-do list.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you live in Washington?
No, I live in Oregon. I live in
Oregon. Mm-hmm. Okay. Wasn't sure. So I got to figure out how to come see you so I can see the board. That's fantastic.
In person. Yeah.
Do you have any questions so far for Julie? Because that was a lot. Anybody want to pick her brain about anything?
I asked how much it cost her to reserve the golf course. I'm just curious.
Oh, so let me think. I think it was $59 a person, to golf the 9 holes. And then afterwards I used their food and had taco bar afterwards. And they had it outside under this covered area. And it was just this last October. So I lucked out with the weather. It was a little cold, but it wasn't raining. And they had heaters under the thing. It was awesome. So altogether, it was probably cost me just a little over $4,000 with the food and everything. But again, I think for me, it was amazing to see everybody in person, and they showed up and they all had a really good time, and several of them have never golfed before. So that was a lot of fun. I had, closest to the pin, and I had prizes and things like that. And then at the end during the food, some people couldn't make it to the tournament, but they came to the food portion of it. So it was really good to just have those people around and know that you were a part of their life and their trend, their biggest purchase that a lot of them are going to do in their lifetime.
And that was one of my questions, and you answered it. Was I like golf, but not all of my clients golf. And so, did you have
It was best ball. It was a best ball.
Yeah, scrambles
So-
are fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I had like one of them. I had one of the holes. I had you had to hit a 7-iron the whole way. Another one is off the tee. You have to hit who can hit the furthest wiffle ball. So just kind of
Very
fun things.
Yeah. Sounds like something that you'll be doing yearly now. Sounds like you really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Good. Okay, so I'd like to ask Dill Ward the same question. And the question was, after you close a transaction, what is the first thing you do to stay in touch with your clients?
Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for giving me the chance to give you a slice of a perspective. And my favorite thing about real estate is you can do it a million different ways. You can listen and learn and pick and choose and try and experiment and spend money and evaluate. And you can just keep iterating as you go. I have been to so many trainings, classes, webinars, conferences where I just let people pour into me, and I just took it all in and I tried things, and some things worked and some things didn't. But the thing that I learned very quickly early in my career was it costs a lot more money to acquire a new customer than to just keep a customer and keep them happy and keep them coming back and keep them referring. So that was a blessing for me to really understand that was how I wanted to run my business, even though the leads I was getting when I was first starting were just anywhere and everywhere, and they didn't even make any sense. I was either buying online stuff or open houses or all the things I was doing. I was like, where can I find the humans that I most want to have in my personal bucket? So I do use a CRM. I'm probably going to give you a completely different approach, which is great because, we're all different ways of doing this. And I want to give everyone permission to completely tune me out and say, I would never do it that way. That's fine. That's just what's been working for me and has put me in the top 5% of the agents in my marketplace. And it's all repeat, refer, because I designed it that way. So I believe this is not just to do a one thing and see results. I believe this is set up for intention. So when I meet with a new prospect to talk about buying or selling, I seed the whole idea that I want to be in their life forever and that I want to get a 5-star review from them. So literally when they're in the consult with me, deciding to choose me as their agent, I'm like, well, there's one more bonus we haven't talked about yet. And they're like, what? And I'm like, well, I come with the house. And they're just like, what? I'm like, well, I'm not moving in and paying rent. I mean, that would be nice, but I will be in your life forever. So when this water heater breaks in 5 years, which it will, you can call me, text me, email me, whatever, and I will shoot you a name of plumbers. I'll even probably call a plumber for you. I just really like to show them that my commitment to the relationship is right off the gate. So all the things I'm going to tell you to do to keep the relationship going come from setting the expectation that that's how I'm going to show up to this transaction. And so I learned throughout all of the trainings and things that I received how to craft this in my mind and how to craft it into my budget. So I call it the Client Appreciation Program, or in my QuickBooks CAP. I decided that marketing dollars, instead of postcards and newsletters and all the things that were sort of trained our tools to stay in touch, were really boring. And I was like, how can I spend fun money to be top of mind and be in community with the people that I put in? Like I said, I like to call it my bucket. So it's like when I pick a human off the street and I put them in my bucket, they're like part of my family now. And how can I love upon them? And so in my client appreciation program, I tell them when I give them the keys, hey, here's a little welcome basket. Welcome to your new home. But just so you know, I've now enrolled you in my client appreciation program. Is that okay? And they're always like, yeah, sure. I'm like, they don't have any idea what I'm talking about, and that's fine. But again, I've seeded the value so that when I start inviting them to all the things and giving them goodies, they understand that that was part of the promise and part of the delivery. And so whenever they refer me, I literally hear them say to other people, oh my gosh, you're going to get to come to her parties. Like it's like they invited their family to come to my parties so that, by referring them to be their real estate agent. And
Wow.
so I like I said, I like to spend fun dollars. So I map out a whole year of budget for parties. I always do a summer cruise. It's a brunch cruise on a Sunday. It's perfect because people bring the kids, they bring their out of town sister who's thinking about moving here. I have closed more people from that boat who came to visit, who were just staying with the family. And they always ask shyly, oh, do you think I could bring my sister? She's here from out of town. I'm like, please bring your sister. And then I've trapped them on a boat to talk to them. And with them. So, I've done bowling parties. During COVID, we had to get so creative. We did murder mystery parties over Zoom. We did paint little snow globes at Christmas. Anything to keep and maintain community, guys. And really, if you don't know how to do events, my promise to you is just start somewhere, just try, just do anything. Gather 8 people to crochet something. Just gather humans and learn how to be a leader. Like nobody's coming to assign you as a leader. You have to self-assign and say, I'm going to lead the charge and get people interested in things that I wanted to do anyway, right? So those are the bigger dollar items in my CAP program. My smaller things are, I subscribe to Lolo. It's a subscription-based service for just under $2 a person. They will send a monthly text and email with a freebie in their town, like go get an ice cream cone or a coffee or a smoothie or a glass of wine. And it has the highest amount of open rate. People love a thing. I tell everyone to save it in their phone as a gift from Dill. So every single month they get a little bing, you get a free coffee at wherever. It barely costs me anything. I use video messaging a lot. That was something one of my early coaches suggested. And I am an avid note taker and a CRM. So I use Sphere as my CRM. It lets me broadcast text and emails and keep track of all the kids' names and the dogs' names. And so I'm an avid note taker. So when you tell me you're about to get a dog or you're buying a house because you want to adopt 4 cats or whatever, I'm writing that down and I'm following up on it. And then I'm sending you an article about how to keep your cats entertained during the winter and how to keep, how to build a craft room in the backyard or whatever the thing you told me you wanted to do. Like I'm staying in that. Like I'm your friend now. I'm like in your life and providing you resources and support. And I for broadcast text, I use Reach, $60 a year. You can text an unlimited amount of people one-on-one. So if I wanted to tell 100 people Happy Thanksgiving, I'm thinking of you. I hope you have an amazing day. It's not coming as a group text or some weird phone number. It's coming just right from me, and I can customize each one. So I love that tool. I also use HomeBot to keep in touch with people about their home values. It's mostly always wrong, but I don't care. They always message me, is this really the number of my house? I'm like, don't worry, we can have a conversation. Again, it's just a touch point. And, I could go on at length about software tools that I use, but I'll let someone else take the mic because I just want to bring you some energy and say it's really fun to stay in touch with clients.
Yeah. You make me like, can you be my realtor? Like, I want to go to your parties. But so I'm listening to you and I'm asking myself, how do you have the time for all of that. Like, how do you have the time to do what you're doing with your family and your homes, inspiring fellow agents to go like, oh, I need to text George about his 4 cats. Like, you amaze me.
It doesn't take as much time as you think when you're in the habit, right? It's like getting a workout in. You can either spend 2 hours in the gym trying to figure out what you want to do, or you can just bang out your, your leg workout. And for me, setting a time for gratitude, sometimes it's like I'm listening to my morning coaching call. I'm just in the thing and I'm just multitasking. I'm just texting. I'm just like holding in my heart who I'm thinking about, who I saw on Facebook, got the dog. I love to wow and delight people. So sometimes I'll just like, if I see like, hey world, meet Joey the Dachshund dog or whatever, I will go online and buy like a biscuit holder and get the name customized on it and just $20, just surprise them. Like be a joy maker, be someone that just gets to sprinkle your love and make your marketing dollars your expression of your appreciation and love to the people that you want to most be championing you, and they will. One Zillow lead converted to a relationship, like Julie said, could turn into 10 referrals over the life of the customer. So we can't discount anybody unless they piss us off and we don't like them and we're not vibing, vote them off the island, delete them out the database. We don't have to suffer, y'all. This isn't abuse this isn't a relationship where you have to maintain abuse. Like, just hit delete. It's so freeing. So this is not a case for make everyone happy. This is a pick your humans and the ones that respect you and appreciate what you do, and everything you do will be received with a better place. So.
I really love that because it's in this career field, it's about being liked, right? And it's almost disappointing to me if, I try to reach out and stay in touch with the client and they're just like, non-responsive. And maybe I thought everything was great and it wasn't, or maybe they just are like, I bought a home from you, I'm good. Everybody's going to be different. But it is important to know too, that you can choose what clients you're going to nurture and show your love. So have you ever had a client that you tried to nurture a relationship with and it just fizzled out?
No, I've had clients where they don't come to any parties. They never acknowledge the free monthly gift. They never open anything. And then they still call you to list the house. You're like, wait, you liked me? I didn't even know.
You haven't returned my text in 2 years. Yeah.
They don't have to consume your content. They don't have to like engage with you to still think, well, you're still doing it and you're trying hard. So we're going to hire you again. Yeah.
Well, doing this, the amount of time I've been doing this now, I got really, really busy, particularly during COVID. And I didn't have time for the follow-up. I was starting to become the agent that I swore I would never be, right? That just didn't follow up, didn't show that after the sale value. And now I'm kind of feeling awkward to go backwards. Like, oh, I haven't talked to you in 2 years. Hi, I'm Liz. I don't want them to feel like it's disingenuous. And so do either Jill or Dill, do either of you have any, like, I know you're going to say like, just do it, right? But I don't know. I just really am having a hard time getting past that. Oh, Jessica would like to speak.
This is one of my passion topics, so I have to just give a quick remark about this.
Let's
Liz.
do it. And then if you would like to just go into, what your answer is to that question when you're done, that'd be great.
Sure. I jumped in because I have that passion like Dill. I'm just like, oh my God, give me this burning question. I have a team of agents. So I have a team of 20 agents in Southern California, and I primarily work with investors. So it's not always as gratifying to be like, you don't get the like, good job, you sold another one today, we do a pretty high volume of business. So I've closed 149 listings to date. My team cumulatively, we're at 178 closed transactions, and I started the team in about February of this year. So for me, where I get the most satisfaction is actually helping agents move into a comfortable place, like out of the uncomfortable place of connecting deeper with human beings in their business. And for me, like that's one of the recurring themes is like, well, I haven't called them for a while. And my answer is always, you've got to switch the perspective and get out of that mindset of feeling like you're a salesperson when you call people. Like we're in a solutions-based people business, and most people are in their lives, in their job, and in some place of their life, they're not at a 10. of like happy, profitable, successful, fulfillment. Like there's something lacking. And any person in their day that reaches out just to genuinely check in and say hello is absolutely a big light. And so when we switch ourselves into that framework of like, hey, I'm just going to reach out and say, hey, it's Liz. I know we haven't talked in a while, and I just wanted to check in. How are you doing? Like, how many people call you and ask you that every day? Not many, especially with social media. So a couple of the ways that that we do that is literally just like the call, the check-in. Another thing to Liz's point of like, if people don't answer or respond or engage in your content, we have to get out of that mode of feeling like we are people pleasers and we're just looking for someone to give us the satisfaction of saying like, good job or thank you or any type of acknowledgement, and get into the mindset of like, who knows what's going on in that person's life? Like maybe they don't have time. Maybe they couldn't get back to me, just like we haven't gotten back to other people, right? So when you get into that like consistency of still reaching out, maybe you reach out to them like in a less aggressive way, but you consistently create awareness around what you do, what solutions that or you provide and what problems you solve, then you're giving people permission to actually respond to you, like to Dill's point. So if you're always still reaching out, even if they don't respond, they're going to feel like there's an entry point to come in and actually say, oh, hey, Dill. Yeah, how you been? I know I haven't responded to like anything you've said to me in 8 months, but they feel like they have permission because you're leaving that door open and you're not like, oh, never mind. Right. And again, I draw the line at like, if you don't like someone, great. I loved what Dill said, and I'll jump into a little bit about some of the things that we're doing. I wrote a couple little notes that I wanted to add on to, which was addition by subtraction. I love it. Like clean up your database. It's one of the most important things you can do. For me, it's all about creating intimacy with people. So rather than like, oh, I have 8,000 people in my database, where do I start? It's like, pick 20 people and see how you can really delight them with curiosity about what you're doing. So that's a big one. And then just touch points in general. So we had Will Guidara speak at EXPCon, and if you didn't catch it, you can watch it on Workplace. I'm assuming most of you are at EXP, or if you're not yet, come on to EXP and check it out on Workplace. Will Guidara is an amazing, amazing human, but he talked about, and I was in the restaurant business for a very long time. I did events and catering and stuff like in my younger days. And one of the things that he talks about is doing an analysis of every single touch point. They did this in their restaurant business. It's how they became like the number one for experience. And so it's like when you drop the check, think about that as a customer. When someone drops the check, you just feel like you have to pay, right? Like you've had this amazing time. The food was great. Everything was fantastic. The service was good, but now you got to pay. So how can you in your real estate business look at every single touch point and go, how can I differentiate myself? How can I make it feel like an experience? How can I wow them? And how can I become memorable? Right? Because people don't remember the entire real estate transaction. They remember like if the really, really bad stuff and maybe like the really, really good stuff, but they don't remember like every single thing. So how are you going to stand out? I hope that answered that question a little bit.
It did. I love that you said something that stuck to me, and I don't know about everybody in the room, but I'm taking tons of notes. And I love that. I love to be inspired. And that's why I chose all of you for this panel, because I knew that's exactly what you would do for me. And if it will do it for me, then I'm assuming it might help for somebody else in the room, right? Because you guys are just a wonderful group of people. But I just love that you said that you're leaving the door open.
Right.
I use the Reach app too, Dill. And I use it for holidays. And any of you haven't checked out the Reach app, I highly recommend it. But I will maybe get a handful of responses. And so now I don't feel so bad about that. Like I'm just leaving the door open, just inviting you to come and say hi whenever you want, right? 2025 for me though is really going to be focusing on my past clients.
Yes. You have to.
I feel like it's an important time to do that.
Well, Liz, then they don't have to look for your number. It's just in there.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes as realtors, we're looking at like the really surface level stuff, but we're not digging deep enough to look at the micro data. Like people tell us stuff all the time that's very important to us, and we might not think that it's significant enough that we need to do something about it. But those are these like little tiny opportunities. And so if you don't use a CRM is fantastic. I'm like Julie, like in my investment side of my business, I'm like a spreadsheet queen. If Google went away, I'd have to get Post-its out. But but the CRM side, I do love, train, and use the CRM with my team. And if you don't use the CRM, use your phone. So when you meet someone, there's a really cool section in your phone contact where you can actually write notes and you can search notes. And so you could look up, like if you have a Ducks fan, which now that we're in Oregon part-time, everyone's telling me I should be a Ducks fan. I'm sorry. Most of you probably are. Congratulations. But I'm not yet a Ducks fan. But you could write Ducks and then simply you could go and like pull up everyone that's a Ducks fan because you wrote that in your notes, and you could go through and like send your texts out. So it doesn't always have to be like the same way, like to Dill's point. We don't all do things the same way. In fact, I found a lot of struggle in my business and different businesses that I have where I would get stuck because I would see someone successful and want to do it that way. And then I would get stuck because I didn't really enjoy doing it that way, or it wasn't natural, or I just didn't love it. Right. But the key is to, when you hear something in one of these masterminds, is you take the little bit of information and then you implement it, and then you think, oh, that sucks, or it works, or I'll tweak it. And that's how you develop the path. That's like the path to mastery, is the implementation piece. So couple quick things on celebrating and post clients. Some of the things actually I'll share that are really working with my agents. A couple of my agents sell a lot of condos. And funny enough, they'll do things like this one. I'll just go to one particular sale that we just closed. She took them out for birthday dinner. Like the client had a birthday and they were in the middle of closing, and she invited him out to just like go get some Mexican food and like got him birthday cake and like the whole thing. I know that's silly, but I had another agent close a deal a couple weeks ago, and she said, I don't know what to get them. It's an investment property. Like, do I still get them a cutting board? And I'm like, listen, why don't you create an experience? So she invited him out to sushi. They went out to sushi. They talked about the investment portfolio. She met the kids. Now they have a connection. They have a relationship. They didn't talk about real estate, right? So those are some of the things that we do. I'm very different than some team leaders in that I don't train my team to do everything exactly the way that I do. Instead, we just focus on like, who are they as a person? How do they like to connect? What's sort of their safe place? And like, how are they building the business around the life? Because we only build businesses to support the life that we want. We don't build businesses to create jobs. So for me, I've never been a happy hour person. Like Dill and I live probably like 15 minutes away from each other. We still haven't gone out to happy hour. I'm guilty of that. But I'm excited to spend more time this year with you, Dill, and all of you. But build it around how you enjoy. So if you love being on the phone, like call people more. If you love to text people more, text people more. But the one thing I'll say that regardless of whether or not you love it, you have to get better at is video. Video has been transformational for every single team member that I have and for myself. And one of the things that you could do is use Facebook as your CRM. So that's one way I train my agents and myself, is to get on Facebook. And when you see any type of life event, graduation, death, someone in the hospital, whatever it is, you don't necessarily need them to pick up the phone and have a conversation. But again, it's coming back to like seeing people and people feeling seen. And then there's an exchange of energy and connection. So you want to just literally pick up your phone and 30 seconds say, hey, it's Jess. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you. My heart is with you and your family. If you should need anything, my team's around. If you need us to run an errand, whatever you need, I just want you to know that we've got your back. And I hope all goes well. I've lit a candle for you. And I hope to connect with you soon after, and wishing you the best. Like, I get goosebumps even saying it because I know people that are going through that, because we practice that every day on our team. So yeah, just really celebrating and consoling people in the moment. And it's very different than getting like happy birthday on Facebook. So that's what I'll leave you with.
I love that. Jessica, do you have a personal Facebook and then a business Facebook? I go back and forth because I really just want a personal Facebook that I'm friends with my clients. I'm friends with my friends.
I use personal community. I don't use the business page. Yeah. I use my personal one because Facebook rewards you. Like Facebook business was created for business, and that's Facebook makes money from Facebook business pages by you spending money on ads. Whereas for me, it's been 2 years now, actually, and I can't believe it. In November is when I went into my Facebook. I went all the way through, like all the way from the beginning of my Facebook, and I kind of not deleted, but I kind of like cleaned up a little bit of content that maybe wasn't, not necessarily was unprofessional, but it was just, I don't know. I cleaned it up, and then I put a little bit of, you can go back and post stuff on Facebook. And I made it like where I felt comfortable bringing anyone in. And then I made my Facebook public, and I post every single day for 2 years. I think I missed like one day, possibly. But I post every day. And so what happens is that Facebook loves that, especially if you do reels, and then they reward you by positioning you to where people will see your content. So anyone who follows me or is a friend on Facebook, if they go on Facebook, they're going to see my Facebook post. Would you all agree? Because you're all on my Facebook, except for Bree. So it works.
Well, I'm writing down how to make Facebook public. Right? Like it's those
a hard one.
little nuggets. Because I've tried to play around with that, and I don't want someone to have to necessarily add me as a friend. And then you see other people, and it's just like you can follow them. Is that what you mean? Like,
so there is a
follow
benefit. Like
versus
if you make
add friend?
yourself a public figure, then they can follow you, which Bree's agreeing. So I'd love to hear your perspective, Bree. But I believe that you should make your Facebook public, but then people have to friend request you. But the first thing that Facebook gives it permission to do, or an option, is to follow you. So if someone follows me and they don't add me as a friend, then I might invite them to be my friend. But if they're like somebody selling like VA services or like, whatever, then I won't. I will do it if it's a lender that I don't know, or a realtor or whatever, because then when I share stuff, then their audience might see it anyway. So sorry, I'm starting to geek out.
You could do a class on Facebook.
Facebook's been really great for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I really need to tune into some of the things that I know you provide just because you're a leader. All of you.
Thanks,
So,
Liz.
Bree, last but not least, I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Well, while I'm thinking about it and we're talking about Facebook, I would just add,
Yeah.
yes, my page is a public figure page. But before it became that, I had to accept the fact that my social media page wasn't my social media page anymore. When I got to a certain point in my business, I didn't want everybody to know where my kids' sporting events were. I didn't want certain personal things going out. So, I did convert it eventually to a public figure page. But I use that kind of for some like lead gen, because people will I'll see somebody that will follow, and then I will send them a DM, right? I'll start a conversation with them. That's just part of my busy work for the day, because what I try to do is talk to 20 new people a day. Whether it's social, it's in person, it's on the phone, like I'm trying to find 20 new people. And of those 20 people that I talk to in a day, of the 20, 16 have to be new. The others, I make a point to contact past clients, right? So like I have a list. I do keep it in my CRM, but my CRM, I'm in the middle of actually leaving kvCORE. Sorry, Liz. But I don't use that, but I use a spreadsheet, and I touch point 1 to 2 past clients a day. Whether if they're really good past clients, and I call them really good because they're repeat referral type clients, they're definitely on my Facebook page. I'm definitely following them. I'm definitely engaging with them. Grandbabies, babies, I'm going to baby showers, getting invited to birthday parties. If my client invites me to something like a birthday party, a Pamper Chef party, baby shower, I'm going.
Can I give you the list of all the ones I get invited to, and you can go to those too, Bree? You can have the clients.
No, they have to be milestone ones, right? Like so just that they feel that. But for me, at the end of a transaction, we've gone through the know, like, and trust, right? And I think it's really key that we don't lose this part, because once we got through the trust and we've closed the transaction, we want them to continue to like us and to continue to know us. Right. So I have multiple facets that I do that with. I have HomeBot. I use it to create engagement occasionally. You know, if I see somebody's come back and looked at their value, even though it's not accurate, we all know that. I have a postcard service that sends out every quarter something. So it's usually a postcard. Sometimes it's a little home magazine. Yeah, I mean, that's literally what I do. It's like connecting with friends daily.
So Bree, where CRM are you moving into?
Well, I am moving into Go High Level.
That's the name of it, Go High Level?
Yep, I'm moving into Go High Level, and right now I am also playing with Lofty. Lofty has some features that I really like that Go High Level does not have. So it may be that Go High Level becomes my lead gen system and Lofty becomes my client system. And I know that's redundant, but
Yeah.
Lofty has some features like the marketing report for your sellers that, none of the other ones have. So, and I really like that feature.
For those of you in the room too that, well, at EXP, we get Bold Trail for free,
Yeah.
which is a great perk, but not all of us are going to necessarily be with EXP. And you can get Bold Trail even if you're not with EXP, but you don't have to go out and spend money, right? I mean, clearly Julie is a perfect example of that, that you don't have to necessarily do anything online. I remember a top producer when I first started in real estate, he had a Rolodex, like the old-fashioned Rolodex that you can probably find at a Goodwill right now, right? If you look, once it's on your radar. But each client went into the Rolodex and he separated it by month of the year. And so it was time to flip it to December, right? And those are all the past clients that he kept in touch with in December. So you can have a really, really simple system, or you can have a really complicated system. It's whatever works for you. I know how Bree's brain works, and when she really dives into stuff, and she'll know something in and out. So when Bree speaks to me about, a system that she's using, I definitely will listen. So Bree, I'm going to move into another question, and I'm curious to know if you keep in contact with clients that move out of state.
No, probably not well. Clients that move out of state, it just kind of depends. I have had some clients come back to me and say, hey, I need some recommendations. I actually have a client who just moved to California, and I know that next year she'll be buying a house. So those clients, yes. But there have been some clients that I've had that have moved out of state, that, I know it just kind of depends. Like I had a client who bought a house here in Oregon, let her brother and his girlfriend live in it. She lived there for a couple of months. That was it. And then she went back to her home state. And, I know that when we sold that house here, that she's never going to do that again. Right. Like she's not going to buy a house and let her brother live in it again. So, there is just, I like that poll.
I know. I'm like,
I'm so
whoa,
bad. I'm just going to say no. It's a
that's
rare
tech
occasion. It's a rare
savvy.
occasion. Yeah.
Everybody take the poll. I have to,
Probably something that I should do.
yeah, I think I'm with you on that.
We need a
I
third
have-
option. Need a third option because some people you're going to keep in touch with just because you want to be in their lives. And then
Yes.
others you
Yeah.
don't because they're never going to do business with you and you don't want them in your lives, right? So
Yeah.
I would say sometimes.
Can I
Yeah,
say one thing about this? So this is the benefit of having a very well organized. You said it can be simple or it can be complicated. There is a middle where it's
Yeah.
detailed, but it's simple, right? So in my sphere right now, if I wanted to run a campaign on out-of-state clients, I hit one button, they're all labeled, and I could broadcast a text, I can send an email, I could send a handwritten note, I can do a million things that don't require a lot of effort from me with a campaign. And I think, again, this is going to go back to how you set up your relationship with this person, right? So with EXP, we get the benefit of saying, look, I'm globally connected. I don't care where you go. I'm going to help you get connected to a real estate professional in your marketplace. So I think we're the only industry that calls our clients past clients. I say, once you're a client, you're my client. I don't care where you live. I'm going to provide some value or service to you. So that's just something, a mindset that we can also add to
I
that.
agree. I agree with you, Dill. And I keep in touch with out-of-state clients also because all of their friends, family, old work connections, high school, people they went to high school with, don't all move out of state. They stay in the same place. And one thing I want to remind you all of that we didn't touch on yet is that I train my agents and I ask for business about 7 times once I actually meet someone before we even close escrow. And on average, I get a referral like the second or third time I bring it up, but not usually the first one. But like second or third time, hey, by the way, because they're having a good experience with you, you can ask for it. And you don't have to ask, hey, do you have any other business for me? Like you can customize a way that feels comfortable. But that's one way that we're getting business from people that are out of state as well. So.
So, Dill, I have a question because you mentioned a campaign, and you know that with Bold Trail, I do campaign stuff. And do you use kvCORE Bold Trail?
I'm kind of like Bree. I've got 2. kvCORE is my the people I don't know yet and would like to turn into a relationship.
Okay.
And then I use Sphere for nurturing the humans that are in my bucket of the marketing and campaign. But so for me, I like to gamify it. I like to say, can I take a Facebook contact and turn them into somebody who cares about talking about real estate? And then can I take that person and turn them into a relationship? And it's like they're moving down the funnel. And so I'm just super technical. So I'm able to maintain 2. If that's not your jam, like please just ignore that. But I think the most important thing is labeling where they're at for you. Are they a prospective buyer, prospective seller? Are they a vendor, a lender, an escrow officer? I had a new agent I was coaching who just had nothing to lose. So like they were literally chatting up the person at the title company at the front desk and ended up getting referrals from them. Like everyone's a possibility, guys. Every single human who could use a little attention and inquiry and curiosity can be either a business or a referral source. So you just gotta ask yourself where you stand with these, where you want to put your intention, and you can tell right away if you don't like someone. And if you add them in your Facebook and you don't like anything they post, just delete them. This is just a curation. So.
So I have an SOP. Once something closes, they go into client or to closed, and then I change my hashtags. And then I add a market report for the zip code where they live or where they bought the house. And then those out-of-state clients, like they literally get the hashtag like relo out of state, and they kind of just go into, no man's land for me. So I got to think about that because there is a chance of referrals no matter where you are in the world, right? But the system that I have in place and my smart number in kvCORE, once I bought my smart number, it didn't take me long to realize like none of my clients even know this number. Right. And so for me to start that campaign from kvCORE, it's just a little disconnected. And so I'm trying to get better about, hey, this is my office number. So please save that in your contacts. It'll always be best to reach me on my personal cell, but it's just not perfect. And how do I incorporate those old clients? So anybody have anything to speak on in that regard with the CRM? Because you did mention that you have the campaigns. Does it come from a smart number? Maybe Sphere's different.
So you taught me actually, because y'all, Liz is so smart. She's so smart. You taught me how to get that smart number with kvCORE. So I did that, and then I added it to my signature line as the office number. And with Sphere, though, I like to broadcast it through Reach. So I will export my CSV of the contacts I want to send a bulk message, and then I'll sit and tailor each one. Maybe I'll add, hey, it was great seeing you last week, and then just let the bulk message go with whatever custom-y thing. I do personally not think that it's great to broadcast from a number they don't know, except for low gifts. But I tell them to save it as the gift emoji from Dill.
Right, right.
Prepare someone that a number's coming.
Right.
For that, it's like they're getting something free. They're not just getting a message. So sometimes,
right.
So you have to do things strategically about every touch point. I love that Jessica brought up that presentation from Econ about when the check is delivered. I mean, this is literally every single detail about our communication expresses our brand, expresses our level of care. If you're somebody who's always sending robotic crap and automated pre-filled out postcards, they're never going to think anything special of you. And that's just, you can do that in addition, but you have to rise to the top. There's always room for greatness. People love energy and attention. I do.
Well, we're all great for just having you in the room. We're greater just for being in your presence and your energy. Thank you, Dill. Okay, so does anybody else want to speak on that at all? Or should I have some other questions I would like to touch base on?
I know Julie, you're got to leave in a couple minutes, right? Did you want to?
True. Yes,
anything?
yes. So let me thank you for bringing that to my attention because it's easy to lose track of time when you're sitting up here. Julie, if there was, let's do it like a takeaway. Like what is one thing that you learned from your business that you wish you had done differently? And then what are you looking and focusing on in 2025?
Oh my gosh. I'm so many takeaways from here, right? Like I'm around so many amazing agents right now. It's crazy. Better client communication. That's definitely it. And I love Dill's energy because I also am a pretty high strung, high operating energy person as well. And again, it's communication. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. We all have limiting beliefs. We all have things we want to work on. And one of my things, Liz, when you asked me to, be here, I'm like, I don't use a CRM. And I'm thinking, I need to use
Just
a
can't
CRM.
say no to Liz, right?
But you do use a CRM and it's literally behind your head in the,
It's crazy. But I took so many, I wrote so many notes as well. And I mean, just striving to be better, even if it's just a little bit, in the day. And as I hate going first because after I speak, I'm like, oh, I do this and I do that. I mean, I use send out cards and I am constantly texting, and I'm one of those people that I act on my promptings. And so I'm constantly, and I think it's just my genetic makeup, but I was just telling my husband on our walk this morning, I'm like, I'm constantly prospecting. Agents always ask me, how do you do this? How do you do that? I'm constantly prospecting. And it might be that one of my past clients, I just drove by their house. So I might text them and say, I hope you're having an amazing day, or, your flowers look beautiful on your porch, or whatever. I mean, you just have to drop those little subtle things like I'm still here and I was thinking of you, or sometimes I'll send an emoji because I love emojis. And one of my clients said I'm not an emoji person. So I told my husband, he's asking me to be somebody I'm not. I send 15 emojis. I mean, and he's like, just call him. Don't text him. Just call him, but you have to act on your promptings. That's the one thing that I think don't think twice. Just do it. Just do it.
Love it. Okay. So we're going to make sure that everybody has your info so that if they have, there might be somebody that you just really hit home with, right? We all make connections with different people for different reasons, or maybe you'll inspire them with the CRM that you have. So we'll make sure everybody has your info, and I can't thank you enough for being here.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I have to run early.
That's okay. We'll take all the Julie we can get.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Happy holiday, Julie.
Okay. So I would like to just have you elaborate, and Jessica touched base on it a little bit, but
Hey, Liz.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I've noticed we have a hand up in the audience. John Sellers has his hand up.
How did I miss that?
What's up, John?
Hey, ladies, thanks so much. Your energy, what you're doing is awesome. But hey, I noticed a couple things and I was curious about this. So I noticed that all of you being top producers, all of you stated how much education you're getting and how much you're always going to learn, which I just wanted to comment was a commonality that I found with top agents. Isn't that funny, right? Like there's very little vacuum. But the other is, I wonder if you could, I also noticed intentionality. And I talked to a lot of people about, they say, I'm a referral agent. But when I really talk about what things they do consistently, there's really no consistency to what they do. And I hear intentionality. I was wondering, how did you figure out which things to do? it wasn't a scattered approach, probably like you built one thing in and people say, how do you do all this? Well, I'm sure, Dill, it's like things have become automatic because you've layered things. And so they've become consistent, and it's not that you have to think about. Could you guys talk about that a little bit about, if you're just starting the business, do you try to do everything? What's the critical things a newer agent that's, only got 20 past clients or getting going? What's the first thing that they should be thinking about in their follow-up systems? And then how do they stack from there? And intentionality, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does.
It's a brilliant question. I'll let you go, Liz.
Well, just something short, but particularly because I teach kvCORE, both, and it's Bold Trail now, so I'm trying to segue into that. But people that are learning kvCORE are typically newer agents, and so whether the newer agents, you just take that, even if you have one person that you're putting into that kvCORE, or that one person that you're putting up on the board with the sticky note. It's all about your intention. And I get trapped in the consistency thing. Like, well, I haven't been consistent, but I really do have good intentions. So I love that you said that, John. It's about having the right intention. And it's about, if I could go back, I guess I would love to have known what I know then what I know now, so that I could have that intention from the beginning. But sometimes you don't have the perspective of what you need to know. And I guess I don't know what to say. Like, what do you teach a new agent other than?
Well, I think Liz, I'll add this. If there's competitiveness and then there's ambition. And I say the perfect combo is that you're ambitious and you're competitive. I'm a very competitive person. But if you're only competitive, you only can be as good as the people around you. Whereas if you're ambitious, then it's based on curiosity. So you are always wanting to be a next better version of yourself. So that's why all of us are here on Wednesday. Like Liz asked me to be on the panel, and my first thought wasn't like, oh, cool, I'm going to come and just share what I know. I was like, oh, cool, I get to hang out with these ladies and learn something new that I can bring back to my team, because I'm deeply curious and I'm ambitious. So when I wake up, I'm fulfilled and I'm passionate about what I do, because it's a privilege. And when you believe what you're doing is a privilege, then you never get tired and it's exciting. And so Dill, you bring energy into what you're doing, and then you just get excited and you want to do every little thing better. So you might pick up a nugget. So to answer your question about what do you tell a new agent to do, or what do you do? It's not about thinking it through. It's about implementing it. You move at the speed of implementation. And when you move at that speed, then you go that sucks. Oh, that's cool. Even me, I'm like, oh, Dill's using Lolo. What the hell? That's so cool. I'm like, are you kidding me? How leverage, all these little tools, but you can't do everything. And so that's how I train my agents is more like the higher level thinking of really being true to, if you hear it and you like it, do it. And then decide. You've got to measure, right? You've got to track and measure. And when you can measure, then you can adjust and you can pivot and you can decide yes or no. But if you just have 50 notebooks and they just sit around and you might look at them later, then you never get anywhere. But if you have a set of notes, so I keep a notebook or a piece of paper that literally is just my list of, these are the things that I'm focused on. This is what I'm doing. And that's what helps me make decisions. So I know if it's on this list and it aligns with this goal, then I will try it or do it or implement it. But if it doesn't, then I throw it away. And then I keep a list of things that are like, hey, I'm going to try to implement this week. Because as you try new things, it's like a new muscle sometimes, right? Right now I'm reading all of my mentors around me. Here are my December mentors. December mentors, they're free. I bought their ass. They can't even, I get all their time. They collapse time for me. I could get all, a bunch of their wisdom, and then I can decide little things that I'm going to implement or change or tweak in my touch points with human interactions. But I say that because if nothing's going to be perfect. And so if you want to be a better deal architect, or you do a SWOT analysis, figure out where your weakness is, and then where you can actually go out and find the information you need and then go out and implement it so that you can decide what actually aligns with who you are and what you're trying to provide. That's what I'd say.
I love that. I would just add, thank you for pointing out that we're all constant learners. This is to everyone out there.
Right?
The only way for your business to grow is to do personal development. You got to get out of your own way. You got blocks. You probably have blocks about money, fear of being seen, fear of being salesy, fear of. Like, we all have to do the work to be really good at business. And all the books that you're reading, I mean, every little nugget that just gets in there, you're like, okay, a little better, a little better. And to speak to John's question about how does one create implementation and consistency and how to know, I'm going to tell you, every single time I spent money on an idea, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, I'm writing a check to rent an entire boat. What if nobody shows up? What if, like, I feel like at every crossroad, I was so scared to invest in myself, to invest in something I believed had a potential to have an outcome that someone else had. And I was like, what if it's not for me? What if my people don't think that I'm worth coming to an event for? And so all the personal development work to just do it anyway. Maybe one person shows up, me and that person have a private boat. Like, you have to rock yourself into motion with the things that you're risking and taking a chance on, but you also have to measure at the end, right? You have to say, like, what was the result of that? And what was the, one thing I learned really early with event planning, if 2 people show up, but you invited 100, guess what? 98 people got a touch. They didn't come to the party and eat the food, but they know they were invited. They know that you care about them, and you got the marketing reach that you were after anyway, right? And so that is something that you have to gracefully give yourself an opportunity to try, to iterate, and to say you're going to do it again. You can't send one postcard and say nobody called. You can't send one set of activities and say there was no result. Like, you have to put in your calendar. So I ask my agents when I'm coaching them, I'm like, where in your calendar are you prospecting? Where in your calendar are you planning to see these people ever again? And if you haven't planned for it, then it's probably not going to happen. So beginning of year is a great time to just say, what is my campaign this year? What's my client appreciation activities? What's my budget? And you can reevaluate on the quarter. Like, is this working? Am I doing the work to do the outreach? Because we can do a lot of broadcast texting and emailing and mailing, but are we going one by one and making people feel special and included? And that doesn't cost anything. That's just your time and your willingness to be a little bit uncomfortable in case the conversation's weird or they don't respond or whatever. And that, again, you got to go do the personal work to sink into your gratitude and your presence and your real sense of thought that you're bringing value into people's lives.
So, Bree, if you could tell your baby realtor self one thing, what would it be? Like, do this one thing and do it consistently from the beginning.
Do one thing and do it consistently.
Or with good intention, as John brought. Yeah.
And
I can come back to you if anybody else wants to.
Well, for me, like, okay, conversation. That's it. Like, nothing starts without conversation. And I think, like, baby realtors don't realize, like, conversation is the gate. Okay. So know, like, and trust, but conversation is the gate, right? Nobody knows you if you don't converse with them or interact with them. Okay. They're not going to like you until you interact with them and converse with them. Law of reciprocity. If you don't know what that is, you need to go study that. And building that really quickly is going to help them like you, and trust you, right? It's building law of reciprocity. Yeah, conversation is so critical. And I see a lot of new agents will say, I don't have a sphere. I've only closed 1 deal, or I've only closed 2 deals. I don't have a sphere. I don't have anybody to talk to. They got friends. They just don't want to go to their friends and remind them that they're in real estate now, out of what? Fear of, I don't know, right? So I always just say fear is basically false evidence just appearing real, right? Like, your friend's not going to be offended or anything like that because you said, hey, did you know what's going on with you? Oh, well, I'm in real estate now. But make it about them. Don't start the conversation about you. Just check in with your friends. Hey, how are you? What's new? Hey, I'm in real estate now, because they're going to ask you back. They're going to ask you back.
I
And
feel like
just
I'm in
think
a room with my people right now.
it's just a conversation. It doesn't have, it needs to be humanized.
You are.
I love the automation that some of you guys have. I really love that. I'm trying to adopt it, as obviously at some point I realize that my business will be a little big for constant, touching, personal touching. But that's where it's been for me. So the year that I iconed, I literally said 20 conversations a day. I held myself to it. I tried to make 16 of them be people I've never talked to before. How did I get that many, or where did I find them? I found them on social, grocery store.
Grocery store.
Yeah, you can go grocery shopping and talk to two people at a grocery store. You know what? I sold a house to two Dutch Bros managers because I drove through the line to get coffee or to get a tea, and I hit it off with that person. They were there the next time and the next time. What do you do? I'm a realtor. Okay, like it's really just new conversation. Keep talking about it.
Yeah, I think you're in your neighborhood, and
Yeah.
what do you like to do? Do you like
I have to add to the grocery store, Liz.
Okay, go ahead.
So my brother and my wife and I are sitting, we're by the fire, like we're hanging out last night, and I get a text, and it's from a gal at the grocery store. And she's like, "Hey, Jess, I'm so sorry. We're so sorry. We gave you a regular turkey instead of the spatchcock turkey, because I'm trying that this year."
Yeah, wait, what?
My brother's Surrey's on. And right. And so she'd given me the wrong order that I picked up from Zupan's. And my brother and my wife are like, "Oh, figures, you get a text from the grocery store." And so the thing is, though, is that I'm deeply curious about people. And it's not always a strategy, right? That we're not building connections with people because it's a strategy. And that's the intentionality piece. Like, you're doing it because it's just who you are. You're curious and you care about human beings. And so then it becomes very simple, but you have to ask questions. And so for me, it's when I meet people at the grocery store, as I build relationships with them over the years or over time, it's that you're asking them questions about their family, about their business. Like, someone that works in the deli might not always aspire to work in the deli. They might actually be like a yoga instructor. And the thing about being real estate agents is that we're exposed to people that are giving us like these tips and nuggets and opportunities and rooms that are open to come in and learn and be exposed to personal and professional development. Whereas other people with the 9 to 5, they're not always in a room where people are lifting them up or making them feel good or making them feel seen or recognizing them and making them feel like human beings. And so for me, I always want to be the person that, like, when people see me, they're always like, "Jessica's that person that when I see her, I feel better when I talk to her." Like, when I'm done talking to Jessica, I feel better. I feel like I have energy, like Dill does, and Liz, and all of these, and I have to square Bree because I'm just getting to know Bree. That's who you want to be. So if you can just embody that, and if you're not an outgoing person, you don't have to be as vibrant or as anything. You can just simply be a connector with people. So when I got that text, it was fun because the woman at the grocery store, just like quick short story of how I built that connection, is that ultimately her mom had passed, and she reached out to me. She'd already hired a realtor. Don't like disregard people that have already transacted. Still find a way to support them. Like, there's still opportunity to connect with them. So just always be open-minded that you're building relationships, like, with knowing that you might not get anything in return. And it's just how you show up in the world, and you will benefit from it, and you will make great connections. So what would you add, Dill? And don't be going into my Zupan's, Dill. No, I'm kidding.
So, I one thing that I want to just tell anyone out there who might be sitting with this going, "Okay, I get it. That's what I gotta do, blah, blah, blah." But I was not always like this. Like, there was a time where I was
that's such a good point.
I was a deeply depressed person and mopey, and I know it's like, no one's like, that's not even possible. But I did the work. I found out I soul searched, I found purpose, I exercised, I started eating better. Like you got to do the work on you to bring yourself to the world, to be visible, to show up and it does you don't just show up like this. Hey, now I'm this person. No,
Came out of the womb like Dill, like
that was not me. No, I mean that I almost surprised myself when I look back at old pictures. I was kind of emo and kind of goth and just like mad at the world because I just felt like I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and I had something inside of me that so badly wanted to come out. But with lots of coaching and training and reading and personal development, like that's where the transformation happened. And then, like Jessica said, as you're learning, as you're growing, you can't help but want to share that with people around you, other agents, other, prospective clients, new friends. Like you can't help but want to open a space for them to find their actualization and who they want to be. Here's a fun story. I was in my first realtor training. I think it was the Ninja training 15 plus years ago. I don't even think how long ago. And they said, okay, everybody, pull out your database and we're going to write thank you cards. And I sat there and I just started crying because I was like, I don't even know a person. I don't have anybody's address because I had just moved to Oregon. Had come here from Florida and I was brand new. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't have anyone to send a thank you card. So I literally thought of a person that I met that I thought I knew their last name. And I was in the tax records. I was like, I think this is I know that they own a house. I'm going to find them. I stalked the tax records and I had one card to fill out that day. I filled it out. I said, it was so nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And I felt so disingenuous. I felt so weird. Like, why am I sending a card to a complete stranger? I've stalked them online to find their address. And I am not kidding you guys. I sold their house 3 years later and got many referrals over the decade that I've known this person. And it was because I was just brave enough to start a conversation, start a relationship, send a card to a stranger, and that's the chasm you have to cross if you're sitting on this right now. Like, well, I don't really know anyone. My sphere is so small. I'm like, if I go on your Facebook page, you probably have friends with 300 people. Can you turn 50 of them into relationships? Like that's the game. There's nothing else you need to do except talk to humans and get around to real estate. Like that's the whole entire game plan to have transactions.
Yeah, and if 50 of them is overwhelming, start with one, right? And it'll start to feel so good that you're like, wow, that felt really good. I'm going to do it with two. I walk into a grocery store and I see somebody that's grumpy. I almost feel like it's a challenge, right? Like I see a big sign around their neck.
or a responsibility, right?
Yeah, I just want to add in too.
There's a sign around their neck though that says, I just need love.
Yeah.
Right. And you can like sprinkle little doses of love on people without them even knowing it. And smiles go a long way too.
Yeah, and I would say don't discount like your friends or even people that who you're like, oh yeah, that's so and so. They use so and so as their realtor because you've seen them post that on their page or whatever, but they're in your community sphere or group, or them through church or whatever, and that they use a particular realtor. Don't discount that relationship at all and think that they're never going to use you. Because if you continue to maintain that, you're like, hey, I've identified you're a homeowner. I saw you bought your house with so-and-so. So now that person is a homeowner. They may, you don't know what kind of experience they had with their friend, right? And sometimes it's worse with your friends. I actually had a client who her and her fiance, they had a horse boarding facility. Anybody who knows me knows I love horses, right? And I knew they were going to sell it. And he said to me, oh no, my realtor would kill me if I worked with you. And I said, well, okay, I get it. If you didn't have a friend in the business, you probably wouldn't have any friends, right? I love that. Jeff taught me that, by the way. And long story short, the experience was terrible for them. And when it came time for her to sell her mom's house, I got the phone call because she didn't want to work with him. So never discount that just because, you know Tom from church or so-and-so from a community, whatever you've got going on for your hobbies. And they work with somebody specifically. Don't discount that. I get calls from people in my sphere that they didn't want to work with that other realtor anymore.
And that's because you continue to develop and sharpen your tools, right? You become the expert, and maybe you're the expert that really hits home for them. And so you just keep doing you and making connections.
I just don't sever that communication,
Yeah.
right? Like, so if I see, they've done something on social media, I'm still gonna comment on it. I'm still, gonna like it. There's a gal upstairs in my office. Her sister sold her house. We've known each other, since they were little kids. And I actually had the buyer for her house. Right. So now she's still to communicate. What do you think I'd give her my new house? I know she has another realtor. I know but she'll call me when it's time and I'll actually get to have an interview for that position. Right. So just don't discount those relationships either.
Yeah, just relationships and conversations. Jessica, if you could go back and tell your baby agent self, what would be the one thing that you would focus on?
Yeah, I would say for me, before I came to EXP, I was very nose to the grindstone. I've always been a hard worker, like always valued like being able to outwork anyone. And when I came to EXP, it put me in a room where I found the personal development and the access and the permission that I gave myself to say like, oh, I'll find time for that. I'll make time for that. So just creating awareness around who you are and it is probably the number one lesson. If I had had more awareness about what was important to me, spending more time with myself rather than just what other people thought I could do or what other people saw in me, and just understanding like, what is it that I really want? And then how can I get there? Versus thinking like, this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is what success looks like for other people. And just understanding like, it's okay for your version of success to not look like what everyone else's does. And and that goes in both directions. Like it could be that success looks like, something simpler and slower and less money and less things. Or it could mean like beyond money. It could be like you want to make a huge impact in the world. But just know your power, step into your power and spend time with yourself. That would be one thing that I would say that I would do differently. Other than that, like the mistakes have led me to where I am, so I wouldn't change a thing,
Mm.
Yeah.
Perspective, right?
Mm.
Perspective. Okay, what about you, Dill? Baby agent. I guess conversation.
agent.
You leaned into
Dill
that.
would be such a cute baby agent.
I want a little Dill doll.
I want to be like, yeah.
To inspire me.
Guys, I think the biggest thing, I love what Jessica said. For any of you out there who's tuning in on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving and there's something you're here for or something you're looking for and you're to get permission for. When I look back on my very first headshot as a realtor, I want to vomit because I'm like, why am I wearing a suit? I don't ever wear a suit. Like it's just like, I'm like, oh yeah, because I wanted to be with the investor.
See, I wear suits.
No, but like the point is that you model what you think you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and
the people you want to attract, right?
Yeah, no. I don't think you know that as a baby agent. You don't know that you want to be what you want to attract. You think you need to be who other people are successful and model how they're doing, right? They're the techniques they're telling you to follow and the image they're trying to tell you to follow. And I love that Jessica said, like leaning into who you want to be and how you want to be. And I remember I paid a coach a lot of money to tell me, hey, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And I was like, I'm going to put a heart in my logo and just get crazy. Just get, just permission. And like, here's the thing that I tell myself even today, and I'm going to tell all of you, nobody is coming to tell you you're ready to do the next thing that you desire, the next level of success for you. Nobody's like, guess what? Dill, it's your time to be a leader. It's your time to be a speaker. It's your time to be a mentor. No, nobody's coming. So self-assign, put the crown on and just go for it. Just take some risk. Be brave after what you want, because you're going to look back in your career and go, what did I do the first 5 years? I need to get going. So give yourself permission on day one. That's my attitude.
Woohoo! Got a bottle Dill's energy. I would love to think that there's some conversations out there, or maybe somebody just wants to add to something that's been said, because we're almost done here, and gosh, we could keep going. I have so many more questions. We might have to do
you did an amazing job.
You're super sweet.
Like,
this is so This is so great. You guys are awesome, and I'm borrowing from your energy and your brains and taking great notes. So, okay, I'm curious because ultimately I love the concept in business in general of multiplication, not addition, right? 1+1 is a really, really hard way to build basically anything. And so you guys have all come up with powerful systems to create an engine that powers your past client success. And I'm curious, like what's the like number one thing that creates that duplicative success? In other words, your past clients being willing to tell their friends. What's the magic right there? And I've got to confess, I was never great at this. I mean, built a really big business, but it was all like cold calling and just brain damage, right? Like that stuff's awesome, but you've got to transition at some point or it's just permanent brain damage, right? So you guys have mastered this and I'm in awe of that. So how does that work? What is the duplication motor that you believe is responsible for that?
I'll say that, like, when we were at EXPCon, Jesse Itzler nailed it for me in articulating the value. Is like, if you have, talking about billionaires, and if you have $1 but zero soul, then it equals zero. But if you have if you have like $1 billion soul, right, then times what? I just messed this up while on stage, right? It was Jesse Itzler, not B. But I loved what he said. Is like, for me, it's integrity. Every deal that I do with my investor, I do what's required, no matter what. And so I've done thousands of deals, even with one investor, for example, but I'm only as good as my last deal. So I look at every client that way. It's like, how can I be better? Don't get comfortable. Don't get lackadaisical. Be like every bit of who you can be. You're going to have there's going to be mistakes. But for me, I know that like when I make mistakes, I own them. That all goes back to integrity. Every client that I've ever worked with, the reason why they'll refer me is because they know if I screw up or if I do great, no matter what it is, I will own it. I will communicate. And that's my integrity. And no one can question it. And no one will take it away from me. It's who I am. And so for me, you can't multiply anything to zero. So you have to show up and at least stand for what's most important to you. And for me, it's integrity. And I create that perspective or that perception with everyone around me by communicating it. So
I love that. All right, Bree, what about you? Like what's the duplication engine in your business? What's creating that? And by the way, Jessica, I love that quote, the spiritual billionaire concept. So I wrote that down in the chat.
Screwed it up, but
no, you killed it.
I'm just conversation. That's everyone's like, oh, like, and it's true. I'm just sphere related and conversational. So I look at it like, if I talk to 16 new people 5 days a week, that's 80 conversations with people that didn't know me, but they do now, right? And then, if you do that 5 days a week for a month, that's 320 conversations. Do that every month for a year, and you're at 3,840 conversations. If you convert even half of that into transactions, that's 15, 16 transactions. If you do 1% of that, that's 38 transactions. So, I just shoot for meeting and having 16 conversations with people who don't know me. And social media is great for that. Social media is really great for it, especially if you have downtime, right? Like, got to go to the dentist. You're going to sit for 30 minutes in the waiting room. Guess how many conversations you can have with people who don't know you online? And it might not be like immediate, right? Like you might send somebody a DM or comment on something, but it's going to be there when you come back, and you have to sit in the next holding pattern.
You heard it here first. Make sure you get your teeth cleaned, everyone.
Sit there.
So that's important.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like idle time. So if I'm stuck somewhere, waiting like a kid's dentist appointment or something like that, I'm just. My kids laugh. I tell them I'm working. They think I'm being social. Well, I am.
And Bree, I love your math though on doing 3,840 conversations. That was the number that you pitched out there.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of times we think, oh, it's got to be this Herculean, single effort, but this is more about consistency. You're doing this consistently over time, and it's just become a habit, right? Like anything that's a habit. And what's beautiful about that is you could be truly horrifically awful at having those conversations, have a train wreck of a conversion path or a ratio, and quite frankly, still have a pretty big business, probably a top 1% business, because the numbers are there to support that. So I think that's amazing. Okay,
And
Dill,
you're getting better through it. Yeah.
exactly.
You
Plus,
are.
that's it. Your batting average will only go up, right?
Yeah, and
So-
then you're going to be more intentional with what you're saying too. Like I'm kind of always playing with that. Like, what
Love it.
what am I, conversing with them? How am I approaching them? Using some of that logistical language, So
Yep.
ChatGPT is great, guys. If you're like, I don't know where to start, use ChatGPT. It's
Game
gonna
changer.
steps.
Yeah.
It is
Totally true.
That's even
All right, and
easier.
then Dill, I know part of your solution is clearly energy focused, which by the way I believe in. I believe if you change your energy, you change your life. Lexi and I have been really big in the Tony Robbins organization. That's been something that's been like baked into our DNA at this point. And so that's interesting to me. How do you turn that into a system that duplicates in your business? Or what is it about your business that you believe has created your duplication?
Yeah, I totally believe energy. I think it's setting the context in the beginning, but also having a system. So I knew right away that I wanted to train my people to refer me. I wanted to show them how to refer me. Most people don't even know how to refer. Oh, I gave your card to someone at the book club. Like that's never turning into a phone call, right? So I very early on, I'm like, hey, I just want to make sure you know how easy it is to just loop me in to help somebody if they have a situation that they need information about. Because we're always saying like, if they want to buy or sell, and nobody wants to like put themselves into that place where they're like, I don't know if they want to buy or sell, so I just gave them your card. I like to say if they need a solution or they need information, just three-way text us. Let's get it going, right? And so
I love that.
just like a dog or cat, if you reward good behavior, it happens again. So I created a whole system for the referral reward. So I created
Smart.
a custom box of goodies of all kinds of little local foods and whatever, and I just drop it on their doorstep. And that's if they just do the referral, not if I have a closing from it. Just rewarding the behavior of making the introduction. And we have to be really mindful that people just don't know how to do this. So you have to slowly train them.
You made such a powerful point right there in that we make assumptions that actually harm our business all the time. The assumption that your clients know how to refer a piece of business to you is a false assumption. They don't. They're not in real estate. They don't think about this. And so that's a stumbling point. But by crossing that chasm and just showing somebody, hey, look how easy it is. I created this quick form, or hey, just three-way text me. I love that. So easy. And that little one sentence is the bridge a lot of times between where you're standing and people actually doing the thing, right? We assume too much out of our clients. And I wish that they all were just referral machines by themselves without us needing to do anything. But if that was the case, everyone would be a billionaire and everyone would be sitting in a beautiful house. So that would be great. But most agents sell 6 homes a year. And the reason that 6 doesn't turn into 60, which doesn't turn into 300, is simply because of the failure to understand what's the connection here. And I love that. That is an actual system. And that's a beautiful thing. Okay, Liz, take us out, my friend. This is a great day.
Yeah, I'm just so honored that my friends here took time for us. But I know Joanne had a question, and I would love to give her an opportunity. But to speak on that, and we're over time already, is just systems. There's things that I do consistently, and I do them every single time, whether it's, checking a certain box or putting, this happened and then this happened, because as you get busy, you need those systems to hold you accountable and to remember what has been done and what hasn't been done. Kind of Julie's board, they're color coded and then they move. That's it, systems. What was your question or your question?
I don't have a
Joanne?
question. I wanted to comment on Dill's transformation from being emo and goth to being herself unleashed. And I think that is just incredible. And I think it's because she found out who she is. And so I've been thinking lately that, people say, oh, they think they're God's gift to the world. Well, I want to make a meme that says, if you think you're God's gift to the world, you're right, because we all are God's gift to the world. And she found out how she can be the gift. And I just think it's amazing. I'm so touched that you know, that she went out there and she took a chance and she did the work or did whatever she needed to do to step into being herself unleashed. And I think that that's inspirational for all of us to be able to find our place to be that gift. And so I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank
Beautifully
you for
said,
being here,
Joanne.
Joanne. I wanted to let people know, and I think I don't know if Jeff has a link to that or not, and I can always we can follow up on our community group, but I'm teaching a Bold Trail class on December 3rd in the Oregon Conference Hall for people that are wanting to explore the wonderful asset we have here at EXP. I'll show you what I do and what my system is for the sale follow-up with my clients. So if you can make it, that would be great. And if you have any desire to have further conversations with these beautiful humans, please feel free to reach out to them. Jeff has the links to, you can also just go to EXP agents and search their name and their bio pops up and
Yep.
you can
Or
contact
Facebook.
them. Facebook, many ways to reach out to us. And just thank you again for honoring me by being here, and especially on your holiday weekend. I look so forward to seeing all of you in person so I can give you big hugs. And thank you.